This is English shorthand dictation number 152 and the dictation speed is 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this National Lok Adalat meet organized by the National Legal Services Authority, which was established with the objective of ensuring amicable justice in a speedy manner. Equal and fair justice is the distinguishing attribute of any civilized society. It is for this reason that our Constitution casts a primary duty on the state to ensure equal justice for all by regulating the relations of citizens with one another, by checking turmoil and dominance of one class of people over others, and by maintaining all those rights which are elementary to the existence and development of common man, through establishing the effective administration of justice. The Lok Adalat system provides an approachable forum to the poor, weaker and ignorant people who are often intimidated and confused by the greasy substantive and procedural laws. It is a voluntary mechanism and a major tool of legal aid program which is mainly concerned with providing a quick, easy, non-technical and disputant-friendly forum to the people. It is the first time since the inception of National Legal Services Authority that such National Lok Adalat is endeavored to be organized. As the title itself suggests, the significance of this National Lok Adalat is that it will be held across the country on the same day in the Supreme Court, High Courts and District Courts, thereby aiming to reduce the pendency of cases in courts while at the same time sensitizing the public about prevalent of efficacious alternative dispute resolution method of Lok Adalat. Approximately 39 lakh cases are being proposed to be taken up in this National Lok Adalat, comprising of large number of criminal compoundable cases, check bounce and bank recovery cases, civil suits, motor accident claims, service matters, family matters and challan cases. The highest number of cases are listed for settlement in the states of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, whereas in Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal around 4 lakh cases are referred to Lok Adalats in each state. In Delhi, 3 lakh cases have been referred to Lok Adalats. Most of them are challan cases which can be settled by Lok Adalats. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, 105 matters are referred for disposal through the mechanism of Lok Adalat. Besides, it is also expected that along with the Lok Adalats, through the special sitting of magistrates and judges, a good number of infructuous cases are also expected to be taken up and disposed of today. Therefore, in all probabilities, it is expected that a few lakh cases will be disposed out of identified and referred matters to the National Lok Adalat. Certainly, with the passage of time, Lok Adalats have gained faith of the people by settling the disputes both effectively and amicably. However, for sustaining the faith in the system, it is obligatory for every presiding member of the Lok Adalat to make sincere efforts in bringing about a conciliated settlement in every case put before it without causing any kind of coercion, threat, undue influence, allurement or misrepresentation either directly or indirectly. My beloved presiding members of Lok Adalat, although you are guided by no tangible law while conducting the proceedings except the Lok Adalat's regulations, you will be guided by principles of natural justice, equity, fair play, objectivity, giving consideration to the rights and obligations of the parties, customs and usages, and circumstances surrounding the dispute. On this occasion, I also wish to emphasize that the members of the Lok Adalats must take the requisite steps to see that the parties are not intimidated or mild by the accompanying people to affix their signatures in the compromise deed, since the award made by a Lok Adalat shall be final and binding on all the parties to the dispute, and there lies no appeal to any court against the award. The presiding members owe an implied obligation to ensure that the parties fully understand the terms of settlement. It is equally vital that the members of the Lok Adalat should affix their signatures only in the settlement reached before them and should avoid affixing signatures to the settlement reached by the parties outside the Lok Adalat with the assistance of some third parties, to ensure that the Lok Adalats are not used by unscrupulous parties to commit fraud, forgery, etc. Although an increased rate of disposal through Lok Adalat is significant, at the same time justice should not only be done but also seem to be done. The legal service authorities must diligently follow these regulations enumerated in the National Legal Services Authority Lok Adalats Regulations 2009 while conducting Lok Adalats. I am very glad that the technological advancement has permitted us to view and monitor the organizing of Lok Adalats all over the country through video conferencing and webcasting facilitated by the E-Committee of the Supreme Court of India and the National Informatics Center of Government of India. I hope that in near future all district and taluk courts will be computerized and interconnected for effective administration. I strongly believe that alternative dispute resolution allows the poor and the marginalized to have access to justice without traversing long distances and bearing exorbitant litigation cost. Institutions like Lok Adalats must be nurtured for resolving disputes in an amicable, cooperative and non-adversarial manner, which will have a significant impact on the working of judicial system in the country. Observing the increase in the number of cases being filed every year, I feel that on account of success of this Lok Adalat, this can also be organized as an yearly event until such percentage of pendency of cases are brought down. I am confident that the parties themselves will also be more inclined to settle the disputes through Lok Adalats, as the law prescribes for refund of court fee if the case is settled by Lok Adalats. I convey my warmest wishes to the National Legal Services Authority for successful organization of National Lok Adalat. We have assembled today to celebrate the anniversary of a momentous event, the anniversary of the adoption of our Constitution, the day on which our founding fathers subscribed to this document by signing the same and thereby unfolding the social, economic and political philosophy for the governance of free India. We have every reason to be proud of and to celebrate that unique occasion. We take this opportunity to thank the founding fathers who spent a good deal of their time and energy in giving shape to this Suprema Lex, which was to guide the future generations of the country. We are ever grateful to them. The foremost reason why we are proud of our Constitution is that it promises governance through the rule of law. While in many countries which initially opted for a democratic form of government, the euphoria lasted for brief spells, we are of the view that in our country, notwithstanding its complexity, democracy has stabilized and democratic institutions have flourished. The survival of democracy in India has left many bewildered. The socio-economic transformation with a welfare state and an egalitarian society as its objective must also be through the process of law. It is true that such desired socio-economic transformation through process of law has been slow, but the march has been steady. Today, rule-specific laws are being substituted by rights-specific laws. These socio-economic legislations require a paradigm shift in the matter of interpretation of certain articles of the Constitution. Courts have come from formal equality to egalitarian equality to the concept of deprivation. Judicial independence is one of the essential elements of the rule of law. Every civilized society has seen the need for an impartial and independent judiciary. The principle of judicial independence has acquired renewed significance since the Constitution of India has conferred on the judiciary the power of judicial review. However, keeping in mind the doctrine of separation of powers, the judiciary has to exercise considerable restraint to ensure that the surcharged democracy does not lead to a breakdown of the working of the parliament and the government. The judiciary needs to work in the area demarcated by the Constitution Awareness about rights has grown while correspondingly redressal from the executive has been reduced. The executive has its own compulsions like huge population, lack of resources, high inflation, global economic region, etc. As a consequence, litigation has multiplied. Despite commendable achievements in terms of disposal, which I will presently demonstrate, the challenge is and should be for zero pendency, in which direction a lot needs to be done.